On the air and streaming on the web since 1996, this is the Cinematic Sound Radio Network.
Cinematic Sound Radio Network. You're on the air.
Play Morricone For Me.
I will talk to you of art, for there is nothing else to talk about. For there is nothing else. Life is an obscure hobo bumming a ride on the omnibus of art. Burn gas, buggies, and whip your sour cream of circumstance, and hope, and go ahead and sleep your bloody heads off. Creation is, all else is not. Creation is graham crackers. Let it crumble to feed the creator. Feed him that he may be satisfied. The artist is, all others are not. A canvas is a canvas, or a painting. A rock is a rock, or a statue. A sound is a sound, or is music. A preacher is a preacher, or an artist. Where are John, Joe, Jake, Jim, Jerk? Dead, dead, dead. They were not born before they were born. They were not born. Where are Leonardo, Rembrandt, Corman? Alive, alive, alive. They were born. Bring on the multitudes with a multitude of fishes. Feed them with the fishes for liver oil to nourish the artist. Stretch their skin upon an easel to give him canvas. Crush their bones into a paste that he might mold them. Let them die, and by their miserable deaths become the clay within his hands that he might form an ashtray or an ark. Pray that you be his diadem. Gold, glory, paint, clay, that he might take you in his magic hands and wring from your marrow wonder. For all that is comes through the eye of the artist. The rest are blind fish swimming in the cave of aloneness. Swim on, you maudlin, muddling, maddened fools, and dream that one bright, sunny night the artist will bait a hook and let you bite upon it. Bite hard and die. In his stomach, you are close to immortality. Hey everyone, and thanks for tuning in to Play Morricone For Me on the Cinematic Sound Radio Network. I'm your host, Jack Criddle, and yes, while it is true that I do not often open radio programs with dramatic poetry readings, this show is a special occasion, and I thought appropriate. We are celebrating the centennial birthday of the great Roger Corman. On today's program, Corman was born on April 5th, 1926 in Detroit, Michigan. He passed away on May 9th of 2024 at his home in Santa Monica, California, and during those 98 years, he directed, produced, shepherded, and distributed some of the finest genre films ever, and fundamentally changed film history for the better, if you ask me. So we opened the show with, it was the poem from A Bucket of Blood, the 1959 black comedy satire of the cliquey beatnik art world, written, both the script from the movie and the poem itself, by the great Charles B. Griffith. It was performed by yours truly with some help from Ennio Morricone's soundtrack to Malamondo from 1962. When Roger Corman passed away, most of the obituaries led with the fact that he mentored and he gave early opportunities in the film business to Francis Ford Coppola, Martin Scorsese, Peter Bogdanovich, Jack Nicholson, Peter Fonda, Jonathan Demme, Ron Howard, John Sayles, and a whole generation of luminaries. And I remember kind of thinking well, it's true, and it is significant, but it's also a little bit of a backhanded compliment, putting it in the lead. This is the man who directed The Trip, the original Little Shop of Horrors, Wild Angels, The Intruder, and all those wonderful Vincent Price movies adapted from Edgar Allan Poe stories. Now, Roger Corman himself was quick to downplay his own importance when he was interviewed, saying that Scorsese and Coppola and all these great guys were so talented they would have found success with or without his help. But, in my opinion, nobody else but Roger Corman could have made X the man with the X-ray eyes. And so, as a tribute to one of the absolute greatest, we've got an hour's worth of music from films that he directed and or produced through his companies, The Film Group and New World Pictures, as well as, and this is a lot of fun, some radio spots. These are original audio trailers, if you will, which would have been sent out to stations on 45 records. So we'll get things going. Here's the main title from 1957's Attack of the Crab Monsters, music by Ronald Stein.
nobody walks in and takes off with my girl.
It's not true, Brad. I'm not your girl. We had a couple of dates and you act like you own me.
Okay, we'll talk about it later, but right now I want to dance.
Hunger for blood will find your thirst satisfied when you see American International's Queen of Blood and Bloodbath. You, who enjoy hearing the shrieks of mutilated victims, will revel in these two thrillers high in blood-chilling horror. See Queen of Blood and Bloodbath, taunting, tingling, terrifying.
The Legend of Frankenstein once again brings terror and nightmare to the screen in Lady Frankenstein. Joseph Cotton is Baron Frankenstein.
What in his face? Devil with his face, I don't care what he looks like. I want him to live.
Sarah Bay is Lady Frankenstein.
That is what they called your father's life's work, a monster, and they're right.
They are not right.
She's beautiful, she's evil, and she'll do anything for love.
Would you like to have my body bend to you? Would you like to make love to me?
She creates a new, more terrifying monster, and only the monster she creates can satisfy her strange desires. Using her beauty and her scalpel, she cuts deeply into men's hearts.
Yes, you're right. Kill it.
There has never been a movie like Lady Frankenstein. Rated R.
This is Play Morricone For Me on the Cinematic Sound Radio Network. I'm your host, Jack Criddle, and on today's show we are celebrating the life and the centennial of the birth of Roger Corman. We started off that set with the main title from Corman's 1957 directed film Attack of the Crab Monsters, and just after that we heard Date Bait, music by Nicholas Karras, that was Bongo Jumbo. That album was put out by the God's Work doers, the good folks at Modern Harmonic Records, who partnered with Something Weird Video to release a number of great scores from the Nicholas Karras estate. That film, Date Bait, was produced by Roger and Gene Corman's company, The Film Group, which was their smaller company that they created in order to produce films, make their own, but get around having to pay unions, which they had to do at American International. Concluded things with Fred Katz, Seymour on the Run, from the original Little Shop of Horrors. Katz composed a small handful of scores for Corman, including Bucket of Blood, Creature from the Haunted Sea, as well as Little Shop, which he attested was previous clips from scores he had already done, which were rearranged by a music arranger, though he still received credit. So in putting this show together, one of the things I would say I began to appreciate about Roger Corman was the fact that it seemed like he took a lot of pleasure and worked quite often with film composers who came from the world of jazz or rock and roll or pop music. In mainstream movies, it seems to be more the exception than the rule. You know, the famous examples of, say, Anatomy of a Murder by Duke Ellington or Simon and Garfunkel's songs in The Graduate. But Roger Corman, I don't want to say like it was the rule rather than the exception, but it did seem like quite often they would be folks who didn't come from a traditional film scoring background. And whether that was the fact that, you know, he was so ahead of the curve and he was way ahead of Mike Nichols and Otto Preminger, or he was making films that were geared at young people and wanted to put music with the movies that was cool, or working at the low budget that he was, people who had composed music for studios were used to a certain level of production value that he was not able to provide, and that a jazzer or a rock and roller wouldn't think that it was such a Mickey Mouse operation. The answer is somewhere in the realm of a little bit of everything, all of the above. But for me, for putting this show together, I did feel like it was a great deal of fun exploring composers whose work I didn't really know and didn't really know their background because much of their work was outside of film composing. But if anyone can be said to be the Herman to Corman's Hitchcock, it would have to be Les Baxter. They worked together for a period of about 15 years, and Baxter is kind of like the musical form of Roger Corman's filmmaking, if you ask me. He has a sense of give the people what they want, and the audience is the arbiter of what is good because they like it, because it's successful. He did a number of easy listening exotica albums, which were all the rage in the 50s and the early 60s, and I'm sure your grandparents have tons of them up in the attic, arranging for pop performers and so on. But working on Corman's films, particularly the fantastic and the weird, really seemed like they gave him creative opportunities that he got a lot of juice out of. In a 1984 interview that he conducted with Randall D. Larson from Cinema Score Film Music Journal, Baxter had said that, quote, "A horror score, the melodies can go much farther out. You can write what would technically be called atonal or linear music. The notes can be extremely strange. That gives you a lot of leeway, and you can be as far out or as weird as you want to musically. The orchestration and the colors have to be more unusual, and that, of course, is a pleasure for any composer." So here's Les Baxter's end title for my personal favorite Roger Corman film, X, The Man with the X-Ray Eyes. You're listening to Play Morricone For Me on the Cinematic Sound Radio Network. It's our tribute to Roger Corman on the Great Man Centennial. We just heard the Mask Ball from the Mask of the Red Death, the best one, I say, out of the Edgar Allan Poe cycle. Music for the film was composed by David Lee, who was an English pianist, jazz arranger. He is still around at age 99 over there in the UK. He was born just 4 months after Corman himself. His other works include he worked with the Johnny Dankworth Orchestra, which is how he got put together with writing music for the Avengers TV series. Not the Marvel guys, kids. Talking about Emma Peel in her leather pants. get with the program. Lee also wrote the songs for the wonderful novelty record that Peter Sellers and Sophia Loren did together, which has been previously featured on Play Morricone For Me on our shows of musically inclined actors. Prior to that, we heard the main title from The Intruder from 1962. Music was composed by Herman Stein. Corman liked to say that The Intruder was the only film he ever made that lost money. It was not an exploitation film or a drive-in movie. It was a very serious drama, ripped from the headlines and from an issue he felt very passionate about. He and his brother Gene, who co-produced it independently, starring William Shatner as a white supremacist grifter who travels to a southern town aiming to whip up fury amongst the white folks on the eve of integration of the schools. So placing The Intruder, which is a remarkable film, within the context of Corman's, the rest of his filmography, I can't help but think of the John Steinbeck line about how the reason that socialism has never taken root in America is because the poor see themselves not as an exploited proletariat, but as temporarily embarrassed millionaires. And that's not to say, the millionaire thing, but because I think Corman probably did become a millionaire from all his successful dealings of producing and distributing films. But I do think he was a temporarily embarrassed A-list filmmaker. And that's why his films are so good. I myself am not a big fan of Troma, I gotta say. I don't really like the Asylum pictures and the Transmorphers and all that. You couldn't pay me to watch a Sharknado film. I really don't like the idea of making a bad movie on purpose, because, it's just stupid. B-movies are stupid. Why are you gotta take it so seriously? The best B-movies are taken seriously and are frustrated, held back A-movies by their creators, and Roger Corman did that through his whole career. I think all of his films, even the silly ones, are aspiring to be good and are good. And this is all to say, I think that if The Intruder had been a successful movie, he might have had a very different career, and the course of film history could have been very different. Who knows? Here's Don Randy with Mona Part 1 from Bloody Mama, which Corman directed in 1970.
bringing you the very best music for film, TV, and video games. This is the Cinematic Sound Radio Network.
I never met a train I didn't like, Tyrol. That's why they call me Boxcar Bertha.
Bertha and her boys didn't want to hurt anybody. They just wanted to make the Depression a little less depressing, at the expense of big business and the railroads. And they did it by mixing timetables and time bombs.
Bill, push that damn Model A onto the tracks. We're gonna catch ourselves a big one. Hell, the way I look at it, these here railroads been taking advantage of us poor folks. Now we're gonna do a little taking of our own.
American International Pictures presents Boxcar Bertha, a story of America in those hard time 30s. It stars Barbara Hershey with David Carradine, Barry Primus, and Bernie Casey. Rated R.
TNT Jackson, sleek as a black cat, cool as a naked blade, that's TNT Jackson. This hit lady's charms will break both your arms. With a dynamite barge, she's a female hit squad. You best treat her fine or she'll shatter your spine. You know you've been kissed by her ebony fist when the blood from your face stains her diamond necklace. There's nobody blacker than this foxy attacker. If you can dig action, you'll get satisfaction from TNT Jackson, rated R.
Look out, get down. The Darktown Strutters are riding to town. Super sisters on cycles. After they arrive, ain't a bad man left alive. They're fast as a jet, sharp as Gillette. And what you see is what you get. But baby, I'm for real. Darktown Strutters. See the dramatics, Roger E. Mosley and Miss Black America Shirley Washington in Darktown Strutters. Better move your butt when these ladies strut. 5 Foxes who hit like a truckload of... Gotta watch your act on the radio. Singing, dancing, strutting. It's a real black comedy. Darktown Strutters, they're super fine mothers. Soaring into Soul City, they can run you down and still look pretty. Darktown Strutters is rated PG. Parental guidance suggested. Strut to see it.
I'm a long-time woman, and I'm serving my time. I've been locked away so long now, I've forgotten my crime. Been working on the road now, I've been working by the sea, been working in them fields, and I wanna be free. Well, 99 years is a long, long, long time. 99 years is such a long, long, long time. 99 years is a long, long time. Well, look at me, I'll never be free. I'm a long time woman. Unnatural feelings like a bad disease. Well, 99 years is a long, long time. Well, 99 years is such a long, long time. Well, 99 years is a long, long time. Well, look at me, I'll never be free. I'm a long-time woman.
That's Pam Grier with Longtime Woman, the theme song from Jack Hill's The Big Dollhouse. Grier didn't sing very much in her career, but I really think she should have more. I love that tune, which is also featured on the Jackie Brown soundtrack. The Big Dollhouse was distributed in 1974 through Roger Corman's New World Pictures. It was one of numerous films. A jungle adventure, women in prison, action, a lot of stuff blowing up. The same helicopter used again and again that was produced in the Philippines. Prior to that, we heard Don Randy's track Mona from the Bloody Mama soundtrack, one of the small but mighty cottage industry of Depression-era gangster Bonnie and Clyde knockoff movies, of which New World produced their fair share. I love Shelley Winters when she's swinging for the fences. My favorite film ever in the world is Night of the Hunter, and it would seem that Corman instructed Miss Winters to, you remember the scene in the revival tent with the torches and the kept hounding that man for face paint and makeup and clothes, and told her to do the whole movie that way. It's great fun. Don Randy was a member of the Wrecking Crew, a group of studio musicians who played on pretty much every great pop record of the 60s. You can hear him playing piano on These Boots Are Made for Walking by Nancy Sinatra, as well as keys on Good Vibrations and God Only Knows by the Beach Boys, and his other film scoring work includes Up in the Cellar, J.W. Coop, Stacy, and Santee. And this is Play Morricone For Me's centennial tribute to the great Roger Corman, who not only a wonderful genre filmmaker in his own right, but also was a mentor and early giver of jobs to a number of incredible luminaries, everyone from Francis Ford Coppola to Martin Scorsese to Jonathan Demme, Peter Bogdanovich, and I would also throw, as long as we're naming names, Curtis Harrington, Monty Hellman, Stephanie Rothman, and counting stage adaptations of his work, Howard Ashman and Alan Menken and Ellen Greene into the mix. Corman can also claim that it was one of his productions was the genesis of one of the all-time great Hollywood pairings of a big-name director and a great composer. I'm speaking of the Jameses, Cameron and Horner. Cameron did not direct the movie I'm talking about. He was the special effects engineer, but I'm still counting it as a W. Here's The Battle Begins from Battle Beyond the Stars.
live one here.
For years, Cinematic Sound Radio has been known as a podcast. But this is something different. A return to its roots. With live radio. Sort of. Cinematic Sound Radio is now on Twitch and is one of the first live streams dedicated entirely to film, television, and video game music. Every broadcast is an all-request show, shaped in real time by you, the listener. Cinematic Sound Radio is streaming live every Thursday and Sunday on Twitch. You pick 'em, we play 'em.
They began in the water, dark gliding shapes that violate every law of nature. They're not human, but they hunt human women, not for killing, for mating. Humanoids from the deep, starring Doug McClure, Ann Turkel, and Vic Morrow. Humanoids from the deep. Rated R, under 17, not admitted without parent.
If they are devils, how do they come by the name angels? They are devils angels from hell, with lust their law, riot their reason, and violence their god. Roger Corman presents Devil's Angels, starring John Cassavetes, Beverly Adams, and Mimsy Farmer. Devil's Angels is the terrifying motion picture of their strange, savage world, the women who ride with them, and the lurid legends they leave behind. Devil's Angels in Panavision and Color, an American International picture.
This is Play Morricone For Me on the Cinematic Sound Radio Network. It's our tribute to Roger Corman on his Centennial, April 5th, and that was Blues Theme from Corman's wildly successful 1967 biker flick, The Wild Angels, which starred Peter Fonda, Nancy Sinatra, and many members of the actual Hells Angels gang. The outlaw biker movies became a cottage industry in the mid to late 60s. It was a perfect archetype to basically provide an update of the Western outlaw hero, just on a Harley instead of a horse. The figure could be both a sort of boogeyman to the corn-fed squares of middle America, but was also a kind of bad boy hero to the generation that was starting to turn on, tune in, and drop out. The template for outlaw biker flicks had already been set about 12, 13 years earlier from The Wild Angels with The Wild One, the Marlon Brando biker movie. Although where that film was pretty excellent, where I think it kind of faltered a bit was the soundtrack. Perfectly agreeable sounding jazz in that picture, written by Leith Stevens, but not really the kind of thing that you believably would think a bunch of outlaw bikers would actually listen to themselves, given the choice. Enter Davie Allan and the Arrows, all just face-melting, fuzzy guitar, surf, grungy, I just absolutely love that stuff. And the general public was with me, agreed. That album was a smash success. The movie itself was the highest grossing independent film up to that point in 1967, and they made so much off the movie and the soundtrack that they ended up doing a volume 2 of the music that came out on LP as well. It's a great example of Roger Corman's work with giving the score of a film to rock bands. It was both fitting the mood of a story and also appealing to the kids who were buying soundtrack records. Case in point, the Electric Flag, a group founded by Mike Bloomfield, numerous other members including Barry Goldenberg, Harvey Brooks, Stemsy Hunter, Buddy Miles, and numerous others, and they did the score to The Trip, the 1967 LSD movie with Peter Fonda, the film for which Corman actually took acid as research. Here's the appropriately titled track Flash Bam Pow from The Trip.
In the year 3000, there are no Olympic Games, World Series, or Super Bowls. There is only death sport. David Carradine and Claudia Jennings are super warriors fighting the evil forces of a future world.
I can survive your death sport.
If you were thrilled by Star Wars and awed by Close Encounters, don't miss Death Sport, a new world picture, rated R, under 17, not admitted without parent.
together for the first time on the same program, two torrid love stories, The Student Nurses and The Love Doctors. The Student Nurses, today's picture made for today's people. Student nurses learn many things, and they learn them fast.
All you interns are alike. You have one-track minds. But what I do with my body is my business.
The intimate lives and loves of the student nurses unfolds before your very eyes. Who are we to condemn them? And showing along with the student nurses, the Love Doctors. The Love Doctors teach love. They explore love. The Love Doctors may even tell you something about yourself. Two torrid love stories together for the first time on the same program. The Student Nurses and the Love Doctors, both rated R.
Chuck Serino there with Showdown from 1986's New World production Chopping Mall. Absolutely wonderful movie about malfunctioning security robots at a shopping mall. Remember shopping malls that go a little kill crazy on teenagers that are having an overnight slumber party in a furniture store? Great stuff there. And with cameo performances from Mary Warnoff and Paul Bartel, the great Paul Bartel, the great Mary Warnoff. And Chuck is someone who I got to know a little bit through Facebook and was very warm and encouraging and friendly with doing this program, going back to when I started doing it live over the terrestrial radio at the college station here in North Adams, and I had to do one of Chuck's on the program today. Just prior to that, and speaking of Paul Bartel, we heard Paul Chihara with Hand Grenade from the amazing Death Race 2000, and at the top of the set there, we heard the Electric Flag with Flash Bam Pow from The Trip. And so concludes Play Morricone For Me's tribute to the late, great, sorely missed, never another like him, Roger Corman. Very, very happy birthday in director heaven to the great man, and I recommend that all of us go celebrate. Crank up Tubi once the show ends and throw on just any number of his films. They're pretty much all on there, and all of them are great fun. Impossible to have a bad time with a single one. if you ask me. I have been Jack Criddle. This is Play Morricone For Me on the Cinematic Sound Radio Network. Arrivederci. Thanks for listening.
Play Morricone For Me.
Thank you for listening to the Cinematic Sound Radio Podcast. I want to thank Tim Burton for providing his voice for all the bumpers you hear throughout the program, and to David Casina for providing Cinematic Sound Radio's theme music. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please email us at cinematicsound@yahoo.com. You can find us on social media on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And wherever you're listening to us today, please take a moment right now to leave us a rating and a review of the podcast. You can get a Cinematic Sound Radio t-shirt at our TeePublic store. You can join our Patreon at patreon.com/cinematicsoundradio. And don't forget to check us out on the web at cinematicsound.net.